Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on the Steam Deck OLED. I also have a Jedi Survivor video, check it down in the comment below. But Jedi Fallen Order was one of the first one where the stuttering in UE4 was the most noticeable. I would say one of the most egregious ones, at least at the time that it came out. So how is it on Steam Deck? It's marked as playable, and the launcher, the EA app, requires a virtual keyboard because you have to log in. But the first thing that I wanted to highlight is that if I'm without an internet connection, even after playing it for multiple times, it doesn't allow me to play the game. To launch the game, you have this message. So even if I already played the game like 3 times in the day online to log in, just to be able to access the game, you need an internet connection, which, again, another issue like in the Mass Effect trilogy. So yeah, to launch the game you need internet, but after you launch the game you can put the deck to sleep and continue playing without an internet connection. But I think this is worth highlighting. Alright, so options menu, motion blur disabled, film grain disabled, chromatic aberration as well, and camera shake, brightness as default. Then on video, I recommend 1152 by 720 instead of 800p. And in this menu, if you go to the bottom, make sure you're on FSR with 0 sharpness. I think it looks good enough. Max FPS, let's ignore it for now. And well, HDR, I don't think you should use it, even on the OLED Steam Deck. VSync disabled. Dynamic resolution doesn't work properly for me, so I keep that off. And on graphics, everything on medium with high textures. Medium is the lowest setting, so there's no low, only medium, high, and ultra. So I recommend you keep it like this. And despite the options menu being pretty bare bones, it gets the job done. When it comes to unlock frame rates, I mean, there's one core at 100%. And I also, by the way, deleted all the shaders that I had loaded already by playing the game. So we're on a fresh playthrough, to say it in some way, with a cold shader cache. Although Valve pre-downloads some shaders when you play the game, before you play the game, when you download it. And there are spikes, but I think now with the bigger amount of, with a bigger amount of shaders that are pre-compiled with SteamOS, it's a way better experience than before. Although Stutter is not 100% gone, there's traversal stutter still. But I think they improved it with those pre-downloaded shaders quite significantly. Again, I deleted them, all the ones that I collected myself by playing the game before launching this, so you guys know what to expect. When it comes to GPU performance, we're maxing out the GPU in this foliage, this section with foliage, to say it in some way. I'm going to show you more levels though, so keep that in mind. This is just a very quick first impression part. Yeah, there you see one. But again, not as egregious as before, but it's still there. Especially when you visit new locations. It gets better as you play, but again, not 100% fixed. With unlocked frame rates like this, battery life is around 2 hours on the OLED. On the LCD it will be like 90 minutes, give or take. Alright. So let's do what I would do on the OLED Steam Deck. Let's lock it to 45. So we get more consistent battery life and a more consistent frame rate as well. The stutters, again, this doesn't fix the stutters whatsoever. The stutters will still be there. There's one core at 100% for some reason, but I think that overall is way better than it was before, at least when it comes to Linux. On Windows, on my main Windows PC, the stutter is way worse. I mean, it's just as egregious as it was before. Now loaded another area of the game that I have on my save file. This is more of a thick jungle, and the GPU usage is much higher. As you can see, there can be drops into the 30s. This is, again, more of a GPU limitation in this part. but it's not the norm. I think this is important to see, because we're locked to 45, and still with the resolution dropped, we can still drop into the 30s. I think that's important, but it's especially noticeable when looking into a distance. Otherwise, we're usually fine, usually. I still think it could be better, but way better than Jedi Survivor, obviously. But that's a very low bar to surpass when it comes to performance. And as you can see here, I don't know why it decides to lock itself to 30. Yeah, this part, you can notice the stuttering I was talking about. Again, not the norm, but worth mentioning. A little bit more chaotic, but usually 45 is where it says, usually. That's why I dropped the resolution to 1176 by 720. We use the entire screen, and we improve performance with control over sharpness using the system level FSR. Okay, so now in this foliage heavy map that I was showing you, there's also sections that have more of an industrial look to them, and they are less GPU demanding. I'm traversing back to the ship to show you. Here there was a boss fight, actually. That's why the camera stays like that. But the stutter is still there. This is more of a way to keep showing you that unfortunately is not something that you can fix in this game. It's just there. Way better than before, don't get me wrong. Yeah, there is loading something and I'm on an elevator. But when you come back, that's not going to happen, basically, once you go through it once. But let's be honest, the first impression matters quite a bit. It's very important. I mean, come on, who wants to play with hitches everywhere, here and there? It's annoying. So yeah, this more foliage heavy place is GPU limited. If you want to fix that, lower the resolution further. I wouldn't do it personally, or maybe lock it to 40, that's another way to do it. I think 45 is good enough. I don't mind in one level having drops into the 30s. Not a great deal. Also, it's when looking into a distance, mostly, or in those caves when you enter them for the first time. This is a cold shader cache, so nothing, only the precompiled stuff from Valve. What's available. Oh, let's leave it a few. And while I see a more unstable frame time in those cases, using the in-game FPS cap to 45, the latency is much better. So there's less latency, but more uneven frame time, so take your pick. As you play more and more of the game, there will be less stutter. But first impressions are absolute dog shit in my opinion. Just the game loading stuff. I don't know. I think it's irresponsible. Irresponsible, well, not irresponsible. Just not a great experience when you're playing the game for the first time. We shouldn't need to be playing a level twice just for it to not stutter when you're playing through it. It's ridiculous. So while I should say it's better, because it is, it's still not 100% perfect. It still affects the experience quite a bit in my opinion. Okay, yet another planet. This is more urban. I really do love those puddles. Those look nice. And again, biggest deal, as I said before, the stuttering. So I gotta show you everything, basically. But here the GPU is having way less trouble keeping us at 45. That's why it's so important to check as many levels as possible to isolate the difficult ones. The difficult one, I would say, is the one that I showed you at the beginning of this video. No matter what you do on that level, we're usually into the mid-30s when looking into the distance. But as I said, it's more of a rarity. or if you're playing the game, you're going to get there at some point. So maybe in that level you'll lock it to 30 or 45. But 40s is also an option. So, I mean, with the stutter improvements, the game is a lot better on Steam Deck than it was when I made the first video on the LCD Steam Deck. Most of the time being at 45 is great, just, again, the stutters is what's keeping it from greatness, in my opinion, more greatness. So hopefully at some point it's going to be stutter-free with community efforts. But I've seen Jedi Survivor, man. And we're back outside, but looking at the entire place we've been a second ago, looks pretty nice. I love the art in this game. I just wish they didn't force motion blur on us, but you can mod it out if you want to. And force motion blur, I mean around the characters when they're moving, when using the force. And I'm guessing that's just an artistic choice, but I could still criticize if I wanted to. Okay, more stutters, loading something new. Oops. Oof. So these two atoms. So by sacrificing the shadows by putting them on medium, as you can see, you can notice the shadows drawing in close to you. I mean, that's a minor thing in my opinion right here. Just due to the fact that in those later levels that I mentioned, with foliage heavy stuff, the shadow quality option is very demanding, so considering we're playing it portable, I think we're good. What to say about Jedi Fallen Order on Steam Deck OLED? It's improved quite significantly over before with the SteamOS precompiled shaders that you get from other people playing the game. Still has traversal stutter, and when you're getting in certain parts there are spikes in the frame time that don't happen later. Seems to be, again, shader compilation. But again, the first impression when you're playing the game is going to be stuttery because it's loading new stuff every so often. It still needs more work, in my opinion. When it comes to battery life, if you lock it to 45, you should be getting like 3 hours, a little bit over 3 hours, maybe 3.5 on the OLED Steam Deck. Depends really on the level. If you're on the jungle level, it will go down to 2 hours, 45 minutes maybe. You can also lock it to 40 for a bit better battery life and stability. But in the jungle part, when looking into the distance, in that specific section that I showed you, it's going to drop into the 30s, no matter what you do. We would need to lower the resolution much more, and I don't really think it's worth it for a few sections of some levels, of one level, let us say. So yeah, obviously here the beginning of the game is less demanding, but again, you're just walking around and all of a sudden the game starts stuttering and that freaking sucks. Also, it's using sometimes 1 or 2 cores at 100%. Not sure what it's loading in the background, but it happens. So on the OLED, I would say 45. On the LCD, 40 as a FPS lock. If you want less latency, use the in-game FPS cap that is in the options menu. You have more uneven frame times, but the latency would be lower than using the SteamOS FPS lock. Especially on the LCD Steam Deck, you're going to notice a difference. On the OLED, not so much. I think it's a good option to have. I also tried a mod to lower the stuttering in the past, and I think it's more of a placebo. It works with the huge stutters, but then the smaller ones that happen every once in a while, like in here that I showcased, it's still not fixing the issue. So I recommend just booting the game and doing that. Then when it comes to launching the game, you need internet to just be able to launch the game on the EA app. If I find an alternative to just play it without that, I'll let you know. At the moment, to even be able to launch the game, you need an internet connection. No matter if it's your first time, your 50th time launching the game. So the EA app freaking sucks. And but what you can do if you are traveling somewhere and you know you're going to be playing Jedi Fallen Order is to launch the game. And when you want to go back to it, just wake up the Steam Deck while being in the pause menu or something, and you'll be able to play the game offline. So once you are into the game, if you put the deck to sleep, you can keep playing it even offline. The issue is when launching the game. Launching it is what requires internet, not playing the game. Which, again, I think is completely unreasonable, especially considering this is meant to be here to play on the go. You don't always have internet on the go, for example, in an airplane. I would recommend Jedi Fallen Order on Steam Deck. Despite the caveats, I really enjoyed playing this game. The stuttering, I don't know, I just think I got used to it. It just makes me mad when I see it. I might recommend playing this on consoles instead, but if you really want to play it and the only way is on PC or on Steam Deck, yeah, it's a great game. You just need to know about those stutters. They are not gone forever, but they are improved with the SteamOS precompiled shaders. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did revisiting it. It's a game that I really enjoy. I just wish, man, my biggest wish is that the stutters are gone. It's such a good game. It's such a waste of potential, in my opinion. It's such a fantastic game, limited by technical difficulties, which is a shame, really. It's a great game. So yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys. Thanks for watching.